Okay, we're into the final hour of the John Laws Morning Show. Give us a call, 13 15 32. Pauline Hanson's autobiography has caused a bit of a stir, and why not? It's not even in the bookstores until today, but no doubt you've heard some of the juicier parts, in particular the fact that she admits that she spent a night with David Oldfield, which I think he's still in semi-denial about. But as I said to you days and days ago, if Pauline Hanson wrote on paper and published in a book that she had sex with David Oldfield, why would she do it if it wasn't true? I mean, it's not like she's saying she had sex with Brad Pitt, for God's sake. I wouldn't have thought that David Oldfield would be one of the great prizes to fall upon. Anyway, talk about being difficult, fussing over the wording of the questions he had to answer for the lie detector test. He failed the test, as you know. Anyway, Pauline Hanson is a friend of this program, and she's launching her autobiography today called Untamed and Unashamed, and I'm happy to say that she's with me in the studio. Good morning, Pauline.
Good morning, John, and thank you very much.
That's all right.
For inviting me.
Oh.
No, that's nice, and I did hear you on radio the other day, and you made the comment, I know who I would believe, and that means a lot to me. I think honesty and integrity is so important.
Yeah, well, I certainly would take your word well in front of that little weasel. How did you ever happen to get yourself into that kind of you silly girl?
Listen, people keep saying to me, is there any things in life that you regret? And that is definitely one of them. And, people really need to read the book in full and see his involvement with it. And I think I was used to get a foot in the door, to have a sort of an association with me, so eventually he could go on to win a seat in Parliament. And I really believe that.
Once upon a time, you told me that I reminded you of your father.
Yes.
I'm flattered by that, but why didn't you ring me before you flopped into the cot? You could have just...
I didn't know you at that time. And I remember you told me, well, if I'm like your father, then sit there and just be quiet.
I did tell you that.
Yes.
You've never been afraid to speak out, have you?
No, I haven't. I think it's from the family background, and we were encouraged to sort of, have an opinion. But my parents were so honest, so upfront. If you think I'm out there, my mother, she was a beautiful lady, and you asked her a question, she'd give you an honest opinion. She'd go to catch a tram, and by the time she left the tram stop, everyone there was a friend. She was such a warm, welcoming woman, and but very honest. My parents were so honest, and I think that's in all my brothers and sisters. We're all the same. You ask us a question, we'll tell you the truth. We don't go out to hurt anyone, but an honest opinion.
It's been an extraordinary life, really. I mean, you could never have picked that it was going to develop the way it did.
It has. It's been extraordinary. Like I put in the book my life story, my 2 marriages, and what happened with my marriages as well. And to see the path that I've travelled, been married at 16, first child at 17, and small businesswoman most of my life. But my experiences in life is what I took into politics. So I've really lived these experiences. I'm streetwise, whereas a lot of the politicians, they wouldn't have a clue what it's like to be in the engine room. They wouldn't know what it's like to actually hands-on, to go through the hardships of knowing, do you have enough money to buy food to feed your children, and a single mother over those years. But I don't feel sorry for myself, even going to prison and everything that's happened, because it's another experience in my life. And it's wonderful. And I've got to tell you, you're in the book.
I hope favourably.
You are, and I've got to say, because of you, I know if you remember the time I went on your program at Foxtel.
Oh yes, I do.
And
yeah.
The interview was booked a couple of weeks prior to that. And finally, when it was organised and I went to the studio that morning, I was hit with having to pay back the $500,000 to the Electoral Commission. And that was the interview was about. And you said, Pauline, how are you going to pay this? And I got upset and I cried and I said, John, I don't know. I said, I think I'm just going to have to sell my home. And I asked you to cut the interview, and I said, I didn't want people to see me upset like this. Well, I went back that night because it was to go to air that night, and when I actually got off the plane, someone comes up and says to me, I saw you on the TV tonight. I said, no, it's not on till later. No, you were on it. You're upset and crying. I thought, oh no, don't tell me they played it. Well, the phones rang hot, and you actually supported me so much, and the public donated to me to be able to pay back the Electoral Commission. I want to say thank you very, very much for your support over the years.
It is a gentleman's job to help a lady.
It's been, it's just been timing, everything that's happened, and how people have come forward and supported me. Even when I was in prison, people didn't believe I should have been there, and they got behind me. Even now when I walk the streets, a number of people have come up and support me. It's just absolutely wonderful. I put the book out hoping that I can tell my side of the story. People can see the type of person I am and why I do things, and what's happened behind the scenes to do with the party, with David Oldfield, with, Tony Abbott's in the book too, and, other people that are in the book, and what happened along the way, and my imprisonment, and why it all came about, and how it happened.
We've got to go back to David Oldfield, like it or dislike it. We've got to go back there. He cooked a meal.
Yes.
What did he cook?
Look, I'm pretty sure it was steak and a sauce and some vegetables, that type of thing. So, we're going back, till 1996, September. But, John, I've got to say, I've had a few men that have cooked for me, and even my current boyfriend, Chris, he cooks a mean meal too, so he's a good cook as well.
But you're not going to tell me now that David Oldfield at least is a good cook.
I've got to be honest, John, he's not a bad cook. He's pretty good. No, I give credit where credit's due, and I think he wasn't too bad a cook.
But that's where his talent ends, obviously.
Yeah, well, that's... that's about it. I won't say any more. A lady doesn't kiss and tell.
But you've got to tell me this. Did you have a bottle of wine?
Yes, we did.
You like having a drink, don't you?
I like having a wine, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that did not in any way play any part into you getting into the cot with him.
John, it was just the moment at the time, and one thing led to another, and we ended up spending the night together. It didn't take me long to sort of realise, hey, this isn't a man that I could fall in love with and have a close, loving, long-term relationship with. So therefore, it was ended, and we just got on and did the job in the politics. And, we worked quite well together. But after he won his seat in Parliament, it just all went downhill.
So you think he just simply used you?
I have no doubt about it.
How many times have you fallen in love?
Oh, I suppose I've been in love quite a few times throughout my life. I've had some, quite long-term relationships, and I had my marriages. I dearly loved my husbands, my two ex-husbands. My second husband passed away last year, but we hadn't spoken for over 20 years. But I've been very fortunate.
Have you had your heart broken?
Oh, most definitely.
How do you get over that?
It's very hard. It's very hard. When you love someone, you can't be with anyone. It's extremely hard, to want to be with someone and love someone. So I think there are so many people. I think most people throughout the world have been touched in that circumstance sometime or another.
Yeah, I think they have too. What did you think about Lisa Oldfield, who I think is of similar quality to her husband, coming out on that stupid catch-up program and talking about what a good ride her husband is?
I could not believe it when I heard her say that. I thought, you don't talk about your husband. It's not, you just don't talk like that about your husband. It's terrible. I think it's very unladylike. Anyway,
I think she's probably desperate for people to watch the program.
That's the end of the conversation about Lisa Oldfield.
And that'll do. In the book, you talk about how shocked you were about what really happens behind closed political doors. If it was that shocking, why do you continue to want a political career?
John, I've always voiced my opinion, and that's what I've done over the years, and especially when I delivered my maiden speech. And since then, the Howard government, Liberal Party, picked up a lot of my policies. And through me, people felt that they had a voice, someone who was prepared to say things. And a lot of people come up to me and say, Pauline, you're only saying what we have been thinking, but you've got the guts to get up and say it. I have no fear or favour to anyone, whether it be the political parties, whether it be big companies, multinationals, whoever. I'm just an average Australian out there who loves their country, want people to have a fair go. And I have a right to have an opinion. I have a right to have a say. You may not agree with everything that I say, but at least I have a right to say something. And I don't believe that we've got honesty, integrity in the halls of Parliament. I believe a lot of people are there for the wrong reasons. They're career politicians. Their heart doesn't lie with the people. It doesn't lie with the country. Why sit back and whinge about these things and not get up and have a go?
Is there a lot of dishonesty in politics?
I think a lot talk with a forked tongue. I don't think they're straightforward and honest. They haven't told the people what's going on. They haven't told the people what's happening. It's like in 1998 when I exposed the multilateral agreement on investment, which the government was going to sign and bring in multinationals and their workers into Australia, destroy the industry and manufacturing here. I've been on about that for years. I was on about the watering issue in 1997, that we needed to do something about water in Australia. The politicians knew back then about the nursing, the doctors. Why don't they tell the public what's going on?
Tell me this, when you talk about, most things you talk about are serious, but when you talk about multinationals, when you talk about a possible water crisis, why is it that people don't grab hold of what you say in that arena, but when you make mention about immigration, on which you and I share a number of opinions, they grab hold of that because I suppose because it's sensational.
What it is the support that I gathered from the public, especially in the 1998 state election when we won 11 seats in Parliament and almost 24% of the vote. And we were coming up to the federal election, and in that election in 1998, One Nation won nearly 1 million votes. You see, we were taking the votes from the two major political parties who feel they're untouchable in this country, and they've got it sewn up. So they couldn't afford to have someone like me come out with that support. So they had to brand me as racist, or they had to twist it, what I was actually saying, to discredit me, to put me down. I was simplistic, didn't know what I was talking about. So don't focus on the real issues, other issues that I spoke about, because they couldn't answer the questions. And that's really what it was all about. They had to discredit me.
Yeah, sometimes you are simplistic, so am I. I don't know that there's much wrong with it if you have a feeling,
they
express
talk about populist policies as well. Of course they're populist. This is what the public want to talk about.
Exactly.
You know it. You get the calls. I listen to the callers that ring you. And they say, why don't they do anything about it? And it's nothing will change in this country as far as politics goes unless the public want it to happen. And it's through your calls, and I'm talking to the public directly to them now. It is your calls to people like John Laws to raise these issues that puts fear in the heart of the politicians, saying we've got to start listening to the public. Ring up their offices. Tell them you won't vote for them the next time around. Vote for an independent. Vote for someone else. But they don't give them just a clear way to win their seats every time around. They have put themselves up, applied for a job. They must do the best job for you. They are servants of the people to represent you and our country for our well-being. And if they're not doing that job, then get rid of them and put people in who will.
Yeah, they need to be reminded of the fact that they are, in fact, public servants, and that's really what they are.
That's exactly right. Paid by the taxpayer, paid by Australians out there. And if they're not doing the job, would you have someone come in and do work for you or whatever they may do, whether it's mow your lawn or work in your house? If they didn't do the job properly, you'd sack them and get someone else who does. But why do the people have this attitude? Well, I voted Labor, my father voted Labor, my grandfather voted Labor or Liberal, whatever you want to, and I've got to keep voting. Australians, please wake up. Look at the policies of every political party. Know what they stand for. Know what they're saying, their policies, and vote on merit. And the fact is, they will work for you. And this is what I want to do. I want to bring to Parliament a voice, an honest voice, to represent Australians, to raise the issues that they want to be raised. Call for accountability. Okay, you may not agree with what I say every time, but at least you will get an honest answer to a question, and I'll fight for anyone. I don't care who they are. I'll stand up and fight for anyone and their rights.
You're going to be fighting a crowd at Angus and Robertson tomorrow, I think, in the Imperial Arcade. You're signing books there tomorrow, aren't you?
I am. I'll be there tomorrow, and yes, in the book launch today. Okay,
so if you would like to see Pauline, if you'd like to have her sign a book, she'll do it happily for you. You go to Angus and Robertson in the Imperial Arcade at 12:30 tomorrow. As usual, it's been delightful to talk to you. I never have to do much work when I interview you.
I never stop. But it's been wonderful to see you, and you look wonderful.
Yeah, feel good. Feel good. And it's lovely to see you, and thank you for your kind words in relation to me, and I wish you well. And I'm quite sure that a lot of people in Australia, probably the majority, agree with many things you say, but they're not quite brave enough yet to